In this video, you will learn how to divide integers. When dividing, there are different ways we can express division. So in English, we might say 8 divided by 4. In math notation, I can use the divided sign, so 8 divided by 4. I could write this as a fraction, where you have 8 over 4. Or the other way, which is maybe not as intuitive, but you can write this as 8 times 1 over 4. So even though it's a division problem, I can think of this as multiplication. So instead of dividing by 4 or 4 over 1, same thing, right? 4 divided by 1 is 4. I can multiply by the reciprocal, which would be, instead of 4 over 1, it would be 1 over 4. So dividing is simply the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. What that means is all the rules that we've learned for multiplication also applies for division. So this lesson is really nothing new. It's just using the same rules we learned with multiplication. So for example, let's say we had 12 divided by 3. As we learned previously, with multiplication, if you have signs with numbers with the same signs, then your answer would be positive when you multiply. Same thing with division. If the signs are the same, your answer is positive. If the signs are not the same, then your answer will be negative. So divide 12 by 3, that means you have 12 divided by 3. So 12 divided by 3 is 4, and it's positive because both numbers are the same, the same sign. So if you had negative 36 divided by negative 6, we can have this written like this, negative 36 over negative 6, and 36 over 6 would be 6, and the signs are the same, so my answer would be a positive 6. If you're told to divide 30 by negative 5, that means we have 30 divided by negative 5. 30 divided by 5 is 6. The signs are different, so my answer is a negative 6. And if we had divide 100 by 10, negative 100 by 10, I take negative 100 divided by 10. The signs are different, so it's negative, and then 100 divided by 10 is 10. So my solution would be a negative 10. Another example, if we had negative 72 divided by 12, we can write this with the division sign or as a fraction, and when I divide, we have two different signs, so my answer would be negative, and then 72 divided by 12 is 6. So my solution would be negative 6. Another example, negative 48 divided by negative 6. We could write it with the division sign, we could write it as a fraction. We have same signs, so that's going to be positive, and then 48 over 6 would be 8. So my solution would be a positive 8. If I had 40 divided by negative 5, we can write it with the division sign, we could write it as a fraction. They have different signs, one's positive, one's negative, so my solution would be negative, and then 40 divided by 5 is 8. So my solution is negative 8. Another example, 36 divided by negative 4. We could write it like that, or as a fraction, and then two different signs, so it's negative. 36 over 4 is 9. So my solution would be a negative 9. Now with a division problem, there are different parts to the problem. So for example, if I had 12 divided by 3 equals 4, the 12 is called your dividend, the 3 would be called the divisor, and the 4 is called the quotient. You don't use the terms dividend and divisor too often, but it's good to know. But the term quotient you will see all the time. So especially make sure that you know the term quotient. because if I were to ask, find the quotient of negative 16 and 8, you need to know that this is a division problem. How you would set this up is you take negative 16 divided by 8. When you divide the two numbers, we have different signs, so it would be negative, and then 16 over 8 would give me 2. So my solution would be negative 2. Alright, and lastly, we're going to work with now multiplication and division in the same problem. Here we have negative 3 times negative 8 divided by 12. So you begin by working typically left to right. Negative 3 times negative 8. So negative times a negative would become a positive. So the same signs means we have a positive number. So 3 times 8 is 24. So that would be 24 divided by 12. Well, 24 divided by 12 is going to be 2. So my solution is 2. Another example, we have 12 times, and then we have brackets, and then negative 8 divided by negative 4. So we typically begin within the parentheses or within the brackets. So let's begin with negative 8 divided by negative 4. So negative 8 divided by negative 4, they have the same sign. So that means my solution would be positive. So it's a positive number, and then 8 divided by 4 is 2. So here within the brackets, this would be a positive 2. So we now have 12 times a positive 2, which would be 24. Okay, another example. Parentheses, we have negative 3 times 8 divided by, and then within the brackets, we have 40 divided by negative 5. So let's work within the parentheses and within the brackets. Negative 3 times 8, we have 3 times 8 is 24, and then we have two different signs, which means that this would be a negative 24. And then over here in this bracket, 40 divided by negative 5, two different signs, so it's going to be a negative number, and then 40 divided by 5 is 8. So I now have negative 24 divided by negative 8. So we now have two negative numbers being divided together, and because the signs are the same, that means my solution will be positive. And then 24 divided by 8 is 3, so my solution would be a positive 3. Alright, let's look at another example. Negative 80 divided by negative 2 times 4 times negative 5. So let's work from this over here, the multiplication first. We'll do all of that first, and then we'll divide after the fact. So negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 5 is a positive 40. So we have negative 80 divided by a positive 40. So because the signs are different, we're going to have a negative number. And then 80 divided by 40 is 2. So my solution would be negative 2. And that concludes our lesson for today.